Okay, it's 5:00 PM. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Alrighty, we'll begin with a quick roll call. Mr. Barton?
Here.
Mr. Let me start again. Mr. Freshire?
Here.
Dr. Miller?
Here.
Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Dr. Minnie?
Here.
We're all good to go. All right, we'll go stand, everybody will stand for the pledge. All right, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, we'll start with delegations. Of course, every delegation gets 3 minutes, and at the end of 3 minutes, I'll let you finish your statement, and then that's the end of the delegation period. And we'll start with Ms. Sonia Hartshorn. Thank you.
Sure looks pretty.
Thanks. Okay, if you don't know me, I'm Sonia Hartshorn, and I am the third grade teacher at Gilmer Elementary. I wanted to speak with you guys today on the Friends with Paws therapy dog that is on the agenda. I have spoken with a few of you personally, and I appreciate those conversations, but I just wanted to kind of bring some points forward on why I support this dog. First of all, I want you to understand that this is a good program that this dog is coming from. It's a partnership between our West Virginia Community and Schools initiative, Governor and First Lady Justice, and it is supported by the West Virginia Department of Education. The dogs are highly trained at Ultimate K9 in Indiana, and they all come with a $2 million liability insurance. The students that we educate today are not the same as the students we were educating 10 years ago. We are in a youth mental health crisis. And if you work in our school, you'll know that is absolutely a fact. 32% of students at Gilmer Elementary receive counseling, therapy, or community and schools services. 32%. That's pretty big. There is an abundance of research that speaks on the benefit of these therapy dogs in education. Some of that research talks about the social and emotional support, increased confidence, increased attendance, and that information is out there for you to gather. And I put some extra stuff on that pamphlet that I'm not going to share here. I understand there are some concerns and hesitancy when we think about allergies and cost to the county. And I have reached out personally to a couple of different counties that have these dogs already in place. There are 32 placed right now in West Virginia. And they said that they send home a form. And if a parent lets the county or the school know of a allergy or even a fear, then the handlers are made aware of that and know to keep that dog away from them. Our schools are already equipped with the air purifiers. Each classroom has them. That's another defense against the pet dander. And we are going to be trained on proper grooming, care, and so on. In addition, I reached out personally to my staff, my coworkers, I should say. I reached out to 20, 17 replied, 16 are in favor, the 17th one was on the fence, but I had no one that absolutely told me they hated it and didn't want it. The 16 actually were very supportive of it. So I just want you guys to understand, like, this is a need. I truly believe this is a great resource for our community, for our students, for our school. We can have fundraising efforts to help heat off cost. It comes at no cost to us initially, along with a $500 stipend. I think we have a strong staff. We have good plans in place to support this, and I hope you guys will do the same.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ready. And next up, we'll have Miss Marissa Fox.
I also want to reiterate my feelings as a parent about how I feel about this program. I am very excited for Gilmer County Elementary School to be able to receive this emotional support dog. I'm not really sure any other form to call it. I wish this was a resource that was available to my child when they were in the elementary school, because I have a rising junior and a rising 8th grader, and anxiety, mental health issues are prevalent. And I feel like having this access to this program when they were elementary school, despite their allergies, would have helped with some of the anxiety issues that we deal with today. And there is a debilitating fear of dogs, but I think seeing a well-trained dog in a friendly environment might even help with that fear of dogs. So I just wanted to come out today and, as a parent, show my support for this program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All righty, so there's nothing under reports, so we'll move on to the consent agenda and start with the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 regular meeting. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All righty, on to the next set.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the June 10, 2024 work session.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 10th, 2024 work session. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, on to the next one.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the July 1st, 2024 statutory meeting.
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the July 1st, 2024 statutory meeting. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, Ginger, where to finance?
Okay, I think all you have today are bills. All of you have
We don't like those.
Not a big fan, but we're getting stuff cleaned up and paid and.
It's always a
The
plus.
only thing that was unusual was the US Cellular that we added at the last minute. Devin and I spent several hours working on that one, and it turns out that it was two of the checks that were on the worthless list they didn't ever receive. So that's why it was showing a past due balance. So once we got that straightened out and saw that, how that tied in, we were able to give an actual amount and to get that one caught up.
Make a motion to approve the bills for payment.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All righty, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the bills for payment. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All righty, we'll move into new business and start with approval to sell bus number 65 and bus number 66. Dr. Manning.
This is per request of Transportation Director, and after consulting with the Chief Mechanic and Assistant Mechanic, we recommend declaring bus 65 and 66 surplus, so they may be sold using the public surplus auction. The monies from the sale will go into the bus replacement fund, and we want to make that recommendation to you all that, just like every year, we buy one or buy two, and then we put the money back in the bus replacements, and then cycle continues.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the superintendent's recommendation to declare buses 65 and 66 a surplus and to have them sold during this public surplus auction and that money to be placed in the bus replacement fund. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion?
No, I just want to tell the public though that those are open to bid on when they get on that public auction, that they can look at those. Always wondered about those buses.
Everybody
being-
needs a schoolie.
Everybody needs a school bus, yeah. But they actually sell for a pretty good price. It's a pretty cool site. I looked at it last time Joe was in here. He sent me in the direction of the site, and I watched our bus sell, but yeah.
Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, we'll move on to out-of-state field trip request.
This is, the need for this trip, I believe, is because the state fair is going to be in that location, and they've got to go across the border to find a hotel room. So that's what the request for
Which
the
they've
Gilmer.
had to do before. It's
Yeah,
not the first.
Yeah, so that's the point. The Gilmer County FFA will need to stay in Covington, Virginia while attending the state fair. Hotel rooms are limited, and I recommend making a motion to approve the out-of-state field trip request for FFA members to attend the West Virginia State Fair with an out-of-state hotel accommodation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the superintendent's recommendation to approve the out-of-state field trip request for the FFA members to the West Virginia State Fair with out-of-state hotel accommodations. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, now we're back into old business to revisit therapy dog. Dr. Manning.
This is a request I got from some members to put the therapy dog back on the agenda for discussion. And I've offered several insights about the dog. I shared a video about the therapy dog program, and basically just need to have the discussion. We want to make sure that this dog, and it has been approved, if when the dog shows up, everybody's on board and wants to have the dog here and wants to have a successful therapy dog in our schools for our students. So we need to make sure that that is the case. And if there's any second guessing or people that don't support the dog on the board, it really is a board decision. We really need to make sure that we're good with that. So I put that back on the agenda. Well, I've been in contact with the governor's office. Vicki Shannon with the governor's office, she's even called me as well as today. Clear from the top, Kathy Justice has talked about Gilmer County's therapy dog, even today. So it is kind of a big issue at this point in time, but you know, I believe that we need to make a decision on whether we need to be educated more about it, if there's any questions that need to be answered, if there's more discussion about the dog, or so on and so forth. I really think it's time to do that because, you know, this dog's going to be a part of our staff. It's going to be working every day just like a teacher would work every day. It's going to be greeting the kids the same as the principals greet the kids every day. It is definitely going to be something that we need to talk about. It is actually going to be a personnel of Gilmer County Schools working with individual students.
I just want to say that I am not in favor of revisiting this. And not necessarily because I feel strongly for or against the dog, but because if we revisit every motion that we make a decision on, and then the next board meeting just put it back on the agenda, then we can't provide clear and appropriate leadership. So I'm not in favor of revisiting.
I would echo what Dr. Miller said. I don't like bringing up old business unless there's a major change to the situation.
Yeah, I think it'd be different if there was a big circumstance change or a big, I don't know, like, hey, by the way, it's going to cost $60,000, something, you know, yeah, that's a re-talk about it. But I mean, otherwise, I'm not comfortable changing our minds.
I would like the record to show the first time I did actually vote yes for the dog.
I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
I am sorry.
Hey, it's funny because everybody's like, you voted for that, right for that. I'm like, actually, I voted the other way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're good. I'm just giving you grief. My only worry with the dog, though, even though I did vote yes on it the first time, I'm in agreement with Hillary as well. The only thing that I worry about the dog isn't even the allergens and stuff. You know, there's dogs everywhere and people that have allergies. That's there's already risk management with it. They carry EpiPens, they take an allergy pill, they do stuff like that. But my only worry was with the staff of the school. I knew, and that's why I backed it, was our leadership there said that he was for the dog, and so I wanted to back him. The only time I second guessed myself was with talking with some staff. Our grade school, I like to believe, runs like a sewing machine, and everybody gets along, and there's not a lot of drama out there. You don't hear about it, regardless, even if there is, which is good. And I would hate to put anything in that environment that would change that. And that is my only fear, is that it would cause a division between staff, more or less. So that was.
But
That's
you
my
did
only
say
fear.
that you asked how many you said?
I've messaged 20, 16 replied, 100% yes. One was like on the fence, and then 3 did not reply.
I've also talked to some people where these dogs are being used in school systems, and I haven't heard anything bad, actually. So as I know, as new as this is and as crazy as it may sound, I think it might work. So I still stay with my first
Mr. Bart?
vote.
When and how are you going to survey the students to determine who is or is not allergic to the animal?
So we would send out beginning of the year information. We review contact information, emergency contacts, things of that nature every year at the beginning of the school year. Mrs. Hartzman had this idea. I thought it was a really good idea to not bring in the dog for the first week of school. After we send these forms out on the first few days of school, allow time for us to get those forms back, and inform them also during our open house, where we would have a table set up, informing,
That's
students.
usually well attended.
Is
Open house.
it possible to do that like now, so that you know which individuals are allergic? You've got multiple teachers per grade.
Yes.
So if you have my kid in first grade and they are allergic, prudent person would move that individual, say, to a room where the dog wouldn't come in. That would be reasonable and prudent. So that if somebody does want to complain, now understand this, somebody tells me I'm going to sue you, I normally would just hump up like a big old Brahma bull and say, your lawyer can talk to mine. But when I say that, I'm saying that I already know that I got a 90% chance of winning. I'm on legal grounds, 10% because you can't decide what a jury or judge will do. So if you're reasonable and prudent, those that are allergic, if you know now, you can make a means to not put them there. Where's the dog going to be housed?
The dog would primarily stay in the counselor's office with the counselor.
With the counselor.
Yes.
This is
Okay.
good night.
That was because if you have her there, you put in there and you've restricted, for a better term, where it's going.
And
Again,
her
reason,
office is
yeah,
like right at the front of this.
reasonable and prudent. And you've got an argument that you can make. So as long as you're doing that, my one son and his daughter would say this was a good idea because they have a grandson that it could be beneficial to. I'm just, if you know you've got a complaint, for instance, and you can shut it off to start with, if you do what's reasonable and prudent and you survey and you deal with those people and you make sure they're not in harm's way. And somebody said like have a fear of the dog. You know, we're a farm community. Some kids may have seen one of their livestock pets, for a better way of putting it, get attacked by a dog, not the person, but the animal. So that's trauma. So you're introducing trauma to where when you think you're trying to stop it and you're causing one. So you need to know those kind of things to deal with. And if you do that, then you're probably got a good legal grounds to stand on. And if you don't, you probably won't. Sooner or later, the dog may get defined as a service animal. And if it's defined in law as a service animal, then all bets on anything are off, because that dog will go where the individual goes. But I would suggest you get those surveys out
As soon as possible.
as soon as possible. And then deal with the people that turn them in negatively. And if you do that, then you've got pretty good grounds.
Good advice.
I think the other plus is it's not like we're the first school doing it. So I think there's, as far as legal ground, there's probably,
I'm
Challenges.
You guys wanted to talk to somebody. I wanted to talk to somebody that had been in this seat. I wanted to talk to another principal.
yeah.
So I reached out to Green Bank Elementary Middle, they're a K-8 facility in Green Bank. And I called and I spoke with the principal, and I said, can just real talk with me. Just, this isn't a soundbite for a newspaper. This isn't nothing. This isn't, a headline. Just tell me from principal to principal, honestly, in the year and a half that you've had this, has this been beneficial to your school? And she started laughing, and she said, well, it's just funny that you're calling me. She had 2 other handlers in the office with her. She said, can I put you on speakerphone? I said, absolutely. Let's have a conversation about this. So I spent about 20 minutes having a really good conversation with a lady by the name of Melissa Jordan, who's the principal there, and then Darla Huddle, who's a teacher and a handler there as well. And she told me a story about an autistic student who was having a meltdown in a classroom. And that meltdown, resulted in a classroom being, kind of torn apart. It was a very tough situation to deal with. We deal with situations like that. And they have utilized this therapy dog as a response to those types of situations, individual to the student, of course. There may be students that this would be appropriate for, but for this one, it was. And she said the de-escalation was immediate to the response of the dog in the classroom with a trained handler. And Mrs. Goodnight and I and Mrs. Hartshorn will all go through that training if you all permit next week. We'll be able to do that.
One thing that this is something that the governor's office goes back to. There's service dogs, there's therapy dogs. This dog is supposed, and they said this saying many times to me, is the Navy SEAL of therapy dogs. It is supposed to be able and trained as a personnel to go into the situation and de-escalate situations.
I actually got to watch Calhoun's in action this summer, a couple weeks ago, and it's like nothing I've ever seen.
So it's not just, there are folks, you see them now in Walmart and different places. They're in the carts and I'm not knocking those folks for having their dog. I mean, they need those dogs, but this is such a highly trained, the place where they train these are supposed to be the best. And they've regarded that around the state. That's why they're in 32 of the counties, and they're trying to get them in all 55 counties. So it's not just an average, service dog. This, what they say, it's the Navy SEAL of service dogs. I mean, they're that highly trained.
Who, you said I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm terrible with names. You'll have to bear with me. Pretty good with faces, but names,
Sonia Hartshorn,
well, the counselor,
Teresa Goodnight.
because I didn't hear the last name. You're the primary handler, correct?
No, Mrs. Hartshorn would be
You're the primary handler. Oh,
Yeah,
you're the primary handler,
So it goes
okay.
home with her.
it goes home with me.
All right,
It stays with
Through the
Miss
day,
Goodnight during the day.
She would be the.
gotcha. You're the keeper of the,
I'm
yeah, you're the surrogate mother, understood.
That's
Do you have a fenced-in backyard?
I do not have a fenced in yard.
That's one thing that's they highly,
We have already been in contact with them. They've asked me, and I
Okay.
told them I do not have a fenced in yard, and they said it's okay as long as I take him out on a leash. And so we've gone through all that, because my husband also has hounds, and I'm like, is that a problem? No, not a problem. So we've cleared that all.
okay, well, good, because that's one thing they had said
They
so,
recommend.
yeah,
absolutely.
it's, so.
She lives way up Shock, so.
I know where,
It'll be
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot around.
No.
They won't get out on the highway.
No. And with the heating and air conditioning units, another thing a reasonable, prudent person might do is change those filters, put HEPA filters in them, change those more often than it requires. It's more expensive.
I'm
But
thinking
again,
We did that with COVID.
That is correct, Dr. Moore, that is right.
That-
I can't speak to the specificity of the filter, but for Charleston filter, there
Cannot
was.
remember
Right.
right off, but it was
Right,
very,
but I'm just saying, this is ammunition, yes, that you've done everything. And what are you going to do with the student if you have an assembly? What are you going to do with the student or students that are allergic?
The plan, and this is what I had talked with the principal earlier about, it's not that they can't be in the same gymnasium, let's say like a large space, but we would avoid classrooms and smaller spaces with that child. If we have a child whose parents say, we don't want my child around the dog, then we're not going to take that dog into that classroom. If that child needed to meet with the counselor, we could have an alternative space. There's oftentimes that Mrs. Goodnight will meet with a child in my office. Usually that's with me, and I don't predict that this is a large number of kids, but we want to be respectful to whatever that number is and to the families of those kids. So I feel confident that if we have a student whose parent says, I don't want my kid around the therapy dog, that we can say that's okay. And that they still receive every other service that's available at the school, including services of counseling with Mrs. Goodnight, whether that's individual or small group, we can still make that happen. It may not be in the counselor's office, it may be in my office, it may be in Mr. Fox's office.
Well, that was one other thing I'm going to say. Your office probably would have less modality between different people than
Yeah,
maybe the counselors. I mean, that would be something that would be probably a good thing to consider.
yeah.
You just got a 40-inch crate in your room, that's all.
So we're gonna
Jody?
just go on.
Well, and that's, I mean, just so I can say that if I was a no vote to begin with, and I was a no vote to begin with because I just didn't feel we had enough information at that June meeting. That was kind of I was one of the proponents for putting it back on the agenda just so we could have a discussion, and kind of figure out more information, because I have had, parents reach out, what are you going to do if my child's allergic? What are you going to do if my child, is scared of the dog? So again, I think maybe it's a communication issue out to those parents, that they haven't really gotten anything about what the plan is, to, deal with those kind of concerns. I'm a dog person, I own 2 dogs myself. I think it is beneficial, to the students who need it. I just think as long as we have a plan, that we stick to, and, we don't, let off of in case there's an issue, because again, if you get in a lawsuit situation, you're going to want to win that lawsuit. And then, if we can prove that we have, provided, safeguards and stuff, you're in a better position than saying, oh no, we just went off on this, free willy-nilly plan. So, that's really all I have to say. Is there a motion,
I
or are
don't
we
think
just
we even
going
need
to?
one if we're just gonna let it lie.
All right, I hear no motion, so at this time, we'll move off that matter and go into personnel.
So I move pursuant, I should have this memorized by now, pursuant to 6-98-42 of the West Virginia Code, that the board go into executive session to discuss personnel and personnel matters which, if discussed in public, might adversely affect the reputation of any person.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been properly moved and second. We go into executive session to discuss personnel. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries.
Hey, I had it ready. And you started, I was just like, I'll just let her do it.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All right, we'll go to the personnel agenda and start with the professional section.
I got Max Bubern, resignation, substitute teacher, effective 6/3 of 24. Make that recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the superintendent's recommendation on the professional section of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that made motion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Go to service.
Service, Donna Estep, prior year service credit, 6 years. And recommendation, Stephen Lauk, bus operator, combined run.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to approve the superintendent's recommendation of the service portion of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion?
The blank is because we're still looking for somebody right there.
Right, yes.
If we're looking for a bus driver in the Sand Fork area.
Or any area.
Just throwing that out there to the public.
Is there any further discussion?
Bus driver, Sand Fork area.
All righty, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. Go to extracurricular.
Extracurricular, Amanda Williams, resignation, head cross-country coach, effective 7/2 of 24. Austin Ratliff, resignation, assistant varsity football coach, effective 7/3 of 24. And Laura Chapman, resignation, National Honor Society advisor.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved and seconded to accept the superintendent's recommendation about the extracurricular portion of the personnel agenda. Is there any further discussion or amendments to that main motion?
Can you imagine running cross country in this heat?
Oh, my Lord.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention? Motion carries. All righty.
I'd have to start at like 3
So I believe we're to continuous improvement, and we're going to have a summer school update from Mrs. West.
Woohoo!
Good evening, Mrs. West.
Good evening.
Good evening. In June, the elementary school hosted Kinder Boost. This was a 3-day program to give our upcoming kindergartners a taste of kindergarten. Mrs. Price and Mrs. Shiflett were prepared to work with 15 students during the 3 days, June 10th through 12th. 9 students actually attended. They enjoyed working with literacy and numeracy activities, listening to read alouds, creating art, and having lots of fun. Families were invited to participate in a kindergarten readiness workshop with Donna Fox, our early steps coordinator, and families engaged in a family literacy event. Breakfast and lunch were provided each of the 3 days, and parents provided transportation for their attending child or children. Then on June 17th, our Summer Boost program began at Gilmer County Elementary School. There are 64 students enrolled in the program, which will conclude on Wednesday, July 31st. Students are experiencing an art camp this summer, which they voted on last summer. Each week has a theme, and some of the themes include mountain views, art around the world, and art in motion. Mr. Persinger is coordinating this program with his staff, Mrs. Smith, Ms. Phillips, Ms. Shepherd, Mrs. Rhodes, Ms. Schaefer, Ms. Lindsay, and Ms. Jenkins. Both Mr. Postlethwaite and Mr. Smith have been serving as our summer custodians. Be sure to check out the school app for pictures and updates from both Kinder Boost and Summer Boost. Save the Children helps to provide funding, training, curriculum, and materials for the Kinder Boost and Summer Boost programs at our elementary school. And we're very thankful for that partnership with Save the Children. Our high school students needing to recover credits have been attending the summer program at the high school. Thus far, 25 students have attended the high school program, and 12 credits have been recovered, which will help our students to be on track to graduate. Mr. Payne is coordinating this program with his staff, Mr. Yoakum and Mr. Travis Fisher. Students work on credit recovery for approximately 4 hours each day, with time for breakfast, lunch, steam, and brain breaks in the gym. Ms. McCord serves as the cook, and our summer bus drivers are Mr. Eisenhart, Mr. White, and Mr. Greathouse. We're very thankful for our students that have attended this summer And we're very thankful for our Gilmer County staff who work during the summer months to help provide these programs for our students.
Yeah, it's a great program for the kids. Thank you for all the hard work you do.
Yeah, thank you
you
for all
very
your hard
much.
work and for everybody's hard work.
Yes.
I hear many comments about, how well the summer programs are and they seem to be well attended. I mean, is that about the same numbers as last year, you think, Ms. West? Okay. All righty. We're out of continuous improvement then. We'll go into superintendent's information.
Just a few, very few updates. I've attended the West Virginia Administration School Administrators Conference, WVASA, and I had a couple events there. I did an auction to raise money for their scholarship fund, but the whole training was provided through the West Virginia Department of Education and the WVASA. One of the topics that I think came up that I think the state's working on, that I hear our teachers wanting to work on, and I think this board should take up, is cell phone usage. It is a topic that it's at the top of the state. They're talking about a state policy for cell phone usage. I think we need to get a handle on. It does cause a distraction in the classroom. We're working on student engagement, and we need to kind of outline what we want to do with cell phone usage. And there's a lot of theory, but I think we need to try to focus on that over the next few months. Another topic that they talked about, and they had the trainer that wrote the book on this topic. He worked at Disney, but it's customer service. How do we provide better customer service to our parents, to our community members, to our students? And what does that look like in our offices, and how our teachers interact with folks, and how our service people and how our principals and all of that. And it was very eye-opening, and it's all related about how Disney has very good customer service, the experience they get. Overall, it was a good training. I ran the regatta race, I was the MC, and I did an auction.
You ran.
I ran the race. No, the race is a boat race. I ran the entire the race and
You
told
didn't
them when to
actually
start.
run
No,
the
I
race.
ran that part of the program. I administered that part of the program, and in an auction, we raised around $7,000 for their scholarship fund. We sold a basketball for $5,200. It was very exciting. So I think that we were well represented there, and just wanted to give you an update on that. One of the topics that has come to my attention from community members is the Folk Festival Board of Governors wants to partner with the school system, and I want to just talk about this idea. And we haven't got a full idea about what we'd like to do yet, but they had the wood choppers. I want to say wood choppers, but it's timber sports out at the rifle range. And they would like to move that to utilize Roe Field, so we don't have to take people out of town to go to that event. And, it would be a facility usage form that, of course, they have insurance and so on and so forth. But they would like to use that. And I don't have it on an agenda or anything, but I wanted to give you guys a heads up that we've talked about that and would like to partner and utilize that for that day of the festival. It's one day.
Mhm.
And I think there's plenty of space down there. We wouldn't actually be on a main field. We'd kind of be, it didn't really take a whole lot of room. There's more parking and it's right there. So just wanted to talk to you about that. I've been reached out to by that committee and about utilizing Roe Field for that. Principals currently are working on handbooks, tidying up the last little few changes to schedules, special ed schedules, and those types of things. And we're going to have those out on an upcoming agenda for you guys to review, of course. And if you would like to have access to those or be at their meetings, just let me know. And I don't think anybody has anything to hide or share. They're trying to make those the best that they can make those. And all of that stuff will be in the upcoming agenda and be ready to go. And I think probably, I don't know, not the 22nd agenda, but maybe the first one in August. I made those due around the 22nd. So that's all I've got. I just wanted to give you those few updates. And
You're talking about customer service, and it's kind of been rolling around in my head this summer that, how do we get kids to want to be at school. And I think part of that is finding out what kids want. And I know I'd mentioned to Tyson, some ideas about, why couldn't we incorporate things like the kids at the elementary school going fishing behind the elementary school, or incorporating learning how to ride a bicycle into gym class, or, try to somehow do stuff that a kid gets up and says, I want to go to school today. We're doing this.
It's understandable.
Because that's what I hear from Colton in sixth grade. I got to go to school today because I can't miss gym class. We're having volleyball and so miss me. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be academics to help academics. I mean, you can learn a
I
lot from
absolutely
riding a
agree.
bicycle. You can teach a little physics in there, catching a fish. You can do all kinds of science lessons with that. So that's one thing I'd like to everybody think about. And even partnering with the folk festival, the way we've done the Appalachian Jam, all these things are things to get some passion out of these kids. I want to see kids passionate. I want to see them passionate about coming to school. And even if it's volleyball and gym class, well, that gets Colton out of bed in the morning. So, that's a win and I'll take it.
And we've had some of those conversations, and we are starting to drive those conversations about choosing some things in different grade
Mhm.
levels and saying, can every fourth grader learn to swim? Can Gilmer
Well,
County
yeah.
schools teach every fourth
Sure.
grader to swim?
I'd be
Or,
all about that. Something.
Or to ride a bike. And I know it's not traditional learning, but it is learning. It's a lifelong learning.
It is, though. I mean,
So-
my kids learn so much just being on the farm with me and Eddie, just doing simple things. And, they just learn so much.
All right, so we'll have board member comments, and I'll start with Mr. Chapman.
I think about what you brought up there, Mr. Minnie, all the time. Cell phones. I just read a thing the other day. You want to immediately stop what they call it, like the childish ways of a child. Give them a cell phone. They say they instantly grow up when you give them that cell phone. Some of the best schools, not in the country, but actually in the world. That is like the number one thing that they stand on, is keeping cell phones out of their school. We've talked about like the last 5 minutes of a day are the worst for student relations, because as soon as they get on them, right before they get on the bus, that's when a lot of your fights are. That's when a lot of your problems are, is because you can say it on here, but you won't say it to a person's face. And the customer service, I understand, the need to tell the public what we're doing here.
Mhm.
But I think that we work really hard to get that information out. We have apps, we have websites, we have this. Sometimes people would just want to jump and yell. And, that's just that. There's not a lot we can do with that. But, we have multiple platforms where we post information and try to get that out there. So I wish, that people would. Sometimes you just hear about the bad, you don't hear about the good. And that's like, nothing personal there. But and then Folk Fest, I think that's a great idea. I've talked with friends and family for years. We've always wondered why we've never put RoboField into the mix of the Folk Fest. And now with it pretty much, just being just a big meadow out there, it almost looks like where's the carnival with Folk Fest?
Yeah, you can do other stuff out
It's a great place for a carnival. We don't have one anymore. And then your last thing, Dr. Minnie, handbooks, please. I would love to have that handbook, a printed copy of it in my hand before I come in here to vote on it, like at least 2 weeks ahead of time. And I know that that's a crunch time, but there's some stuff in there that I know the board and the rest of the rest of us, me and the rest of the board and I,
all of us up here.
all of us up here would probably like to put some red marks on that thing. We talk about it every year, and then bam, it's here, and it's like, well, it's too late to do that. And so I would really like to have that at the end of next year, because that seems to be like when a lot of your problems are, is at the end of the year when you're wrapping everything up, you see where you missed and you hit.
I know we did, because I put a lot of hours into it last year. The high school, I think it got revamped last year. Not
So
that it
you
still-
did revamp it last.
Yes,
I
not that it still
remember
doesn't need
Just
work,
getting it
but,
late, yeah.
it's
I remember getting it late,
ongoing.
yeah.
But we did, Brandon, several of the teachers put a lot of hours into it.
That's good.
So it's had it going over.
I don't want to jump in anybody's time, but like Mr. Price was saying, he had a good idea. we're talking about making these things an active working document, much like administrative
Yeah.
guidelines. He talked about having a QR code so you could go to the front of it, scan it, and go to the newest edition. So we
Yeah, I
can
like
make
that.
changes more than just
Mhm.
one time per year.
I love
Yeah.
QR codes.
And it may
Easiest
take
way
us
to
a while
pay
to get it
people
back.
now.
You have anything else, Mr. Chapman?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go to Dr. Miller.
The Gilmore County Public Library has had lots of cool things this summer, so I would encourage everyone to go to their Facebook site. My little nephew made a wooden walking stick with his paint handprints on it for his dad at the library for Father's Day. So that was a real cute thing. And they've planted mushrooms and they're sewing and reading and just all kinds of neat little summer activities for your kids. So go check out their Facebook site. And also the Extension Service is having, I believe, 3 classes on the different ways to prepare food storage. So like water bath canning, dehydrating, pressure canning. So get your food ready for the zombie apocalypse. They can help you out. Just go check their website or give them a call at the extension office.
Mr. Fresher.
Oh, not much to say. I think coming back to, improving attendance and academics is, obviously there's a lot of push for the career and technical side. So, and I think that's really speaking to the understanding, like Dr. Miller was following up with, the hands-on experience. Anytime you can incorporate,
Yeah.
some sort
Dream
of
something up,
crafts or,
Tyson.
doing something with your hands, something active. in
We'll
this
be with
day.
you.
So I'm sure, you all are getting all those sorts of updates as well, since that's sort of a state push overall. But, as in people, have ideas with that sort of thing, I think that's what is helpful for the students. Let them burn that energy a little bit and still learn and be productive. As somebody with 2 little boys, I can tell you, there's no setting still.
A
So,
lot of energy to burn.
but, and then the other thing is when we get the dog, make sure it attends the board meetings.
Oh, yeah, I want to see those.
That's
I
it.
know the part that we-
Mr. Barton.
Well, I survived my first Career Center meeting.
Good.
We hired a new director and did post for the assistant director's job to be posted. They are about completed they're doing, most of the tech schools and the welding labs and most of the state this summer, my understanding is getting new ventilation systems. Because if you've ever been in one of those, it's not a good breathing situation. They've about have that done, but they're about to start a little over $10 million renovation with heating and air conditioning and lighting. And so it's going to be a busy place down there over the next little bit. So they are doing that. And so excited to see what they can, what it looks like when they finally get all the remodel done.
It's a good place down there.
All right. I don't have anything, so I guess we're doing a motion to adjourn.
I've got one more
Oh,
thing.
go ahead, Mr. Chapman.
Lisa, could you please help me schedule an ad hoc committee for the physical fitness place? Mr. Larry and I have been talking back and forth, and he has hit the ground running to help me and help the community. We have very similar interests, I'll just say that. So I would like to get a committee or get our committee back together and get Larry a part of that. And
We'll add it to the listserv.
yeah.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right. Is there a second? All right. It's been properly moved and second. We adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Oh,
Hey, Myra. Did you hear?
Never.
They're hiring school bus operator, same Fork area.
Bus operator